everyone, I'm Barker-Stargazer and welcome to my crochet series, Good Free Pattern. In this series, I go through free patterns that I have saved on my Pinterest board of the same name and let you know if they're worth your time, if they just need a little tweak, or if you should run away from them screaming. So I am starting with this rabbit flower by Brain _ Thicket Molecule. But don't worry, I'm going to link all the patterns in the descriptions underneath. Right, starting with the head, standard Aragwami rounds increasing by 6. The shaping of the cheeks has been created with clusters of increases and then after a few standard rounds, a cluster of decreases. It's a bit sparse on instructions, including placements of eyes. So I've just gone by the image and I've put mine between rows 9 and 10 and I've put them about 4 stitches apart. But looking at this later on, I think I've put them too close together. I think the row placement was right, but I think it probably needs 6 stitches in between the eyes. Oh, bloody hell, I didn't say. Right. I'm using double knit yarn for this and a 3.5mm hook. The pattern itself didn't state what yarn or hook size to use. Oh, and the eyes I used were a 7mm diameter. Oh, I love these cheeks. They've turned out so puffy. The bow instructions are a little wobbly, but basically you're making a magic ring and you're putting all of the stitches it described into said magic ring, and then you just need to pull it really, really tight. Oh, and it does give this lovely Hello Kitty vibe bow. Did these off camera, they're just basic. A few increase rows at the top and then just straight down. Petals next, and thank God they're all in one piece instead of having to do them all individually. Although my red yarn does seem to be a lot thinner than the creamy white I used for the rabbit, so I'm going to have to double that up to bring it up to the same thickness. Right, so the petal pattern, you just need to repeat it along the chain, and for me I did 9 repeats of the pattern. And by the looks of the picture, the petals need attaching along the whole back of the rabbit's head. Now onto the leaves. So I followed the instructions of the leaves and then I had a good look at the image. And basically, you need to repeat the instructions again on the back of the chain. So you're using your chain as the middle of your leaf, work your stitches up, turn them at the top, work them back down. I'm actually going to do 5 leaves and then see how I want to put it all together, because I don't think I want to put it together how it is in the image as a stand-up flower. But if I was going to do it, the stem, I would probably just paint a stick green. And here is my finished little, almost cabbage patch now looking rabbit head, isn't it? Oh, this was a nice little pan. It just needed a few little tweaks of knowledge there. But yeah, definitely worth your time for that one. Right. Little disclaimer here. The next pattern I was going to use was a globe pattern. I was basically going to make the earth. This pattern had the continents all lined out perfectly, so it was going to be accurate. And I thought I could do it in quite chunky yarn and make it quite large. So I tapped on the image, zoomed in, and then I found a problem. This pattern is actually from Simply Crochet magazine. So I've got no idea with the legal stuff on this. I don't know if it's old enough that Pinterest can have it up for free, or whatever it is. So I'm just not going to do this one because this pattern shouldn't be free. However, you may see this pattern being reviewed on my channel in the future, because I found out that I actually have this issue of Simply Crochet magazine. So I can at least review this pattern another time. And just so you all know, I have actually deleted that pattern from my Good Free Patterns Pinterest board as well. And saying that, back to the board. And the next pattern is this Aisha. I think I'm saying that correctly. I'm going to put the spelling up there. Rose. Okay, the link takes us away from Pinterest and it takes us directly to the pattern, not just to the front of the page. I love that. Thank you, whoever did that link. And it has taken us to hookok.com. Oh, and if you like the look of this rose at the end, there is actually quite a few of the free patterns for other flowers on their sites. Oh, and they also do kits. So if you just want to buy their kit, they'll provide all of the materials for you. That's lovely. I used to do kits quite a bit when I was first starting. You know, I actually have a kit of a hedgehog saved actually with all the materials in it, because Twin 2 is learning how to crochet like her mummy. She wants to be like me. When she already looks a lot like me, why not go the whole hog? So that's there for her when she gets there. We're just working on a scarf with her at the moment. Oh, God, this pattern says we need a 2mm hook. Ugh, yuck. Nope, we won't use that. Flower rods. I'll use a stick instead. Wire, I've got that. Hot melt adhesive. So I'm guessing that means hot glue. But I'll see what needs gluing when I get there and see if I can get away with not using it, maybe stitching instead. It's just so it looks neater for me. Working in US terms. Oh, right, here we go. Petals. We need to repeat this small petal 6 times. No, I can't use that purple. That purple is reserved for the next AI to reality. So I will use this pink. Right, so that's all the little petals done now. I'm moving on to the 5 big petals. Huh, only 5. I would have thought there'd be more. I have to admit, I'm loving this pattern. I mean, it is very repetitive, which, to be honest, you should really expect from a flower pattern. I mean, you are making individual petals over and over again. I mean, at the best, you probably get 3 variations on the petals. Here, you're getting 2. The second petal is almost identical to the first petal until you reach about row 6. And then there's just a few differences. Okay, on to our next piece, which is the sepal of the flower. Now, I did find it interesting that we were only working 5 stitches into a magic circle, but as you actually do work this, it creates more of a cone effect, which helps naturally give the sepal its shape that it does need to be at the base of the flower. The leaves are actually quite simple. They're simply 2 rounds working around a chain. But my God, they were a bit tricky. Didn't help myself by having all this wire in the way, I have to admit. I do think I need the wire for the next part, so that's why I've left so much of it. One thing I do when I am making these good free pattern videos is I don't tend to actually read ahead on the pattern. So maybe that's something I should address when it comes to wire. Right, yeah, I was right. If I was going to follow this pattern exactly, I'd be making more leaves and I would be using the wire to gather the leaves together and then attach them to more floral wire at the end. Now, I'm not using floral wire, I'm just using a stick painted green. That's going to work okay for me because obviously I'm using larger yarn, so my rose is going to be bigger than it would have been if I'd used a 2mm hook and super tiny thin yarn. That makes me cringe. I'm only doing the 1 leaf because I'm actually going to attach it around the neck of a little glass bottle that I want my rose to actually stand in. Right, attaching this rose together. It's simply a case of rolling your petals up, starting with your smallest ones and just rolling them around each other in a circle. I have chosen to stitch and not glue my petals together. And again, it's just a personal choice. I just think it looks neater if I stitch it rather than glue it. To be honest, the glue would probably be a lot easier if you were working in smaller yarn because it would be a hell of a lot more fiddly. I also chose only to stitch the bottom half of the petals together, leaving the top of the petals to be manipulated and puffed out or puffed in, however I choose. Before I put the sepal on, I did need to paint my stick and let it dry because I am actually poking it through the sepal and through the base of the rose. And as I said earlier, I was placing the leaf around the neck of the bottle and using the tail of the yarn just to secure everything up and cover the wire a little bit. As for the bottle, yes, it is Coca-Cola. No, they are not sponsoring me. No, I'm not affiliated because frankly, I don't think they need my help in selling their products. Now, the next pattern on my Pinterest list is another rose. And looking at it, it's too similar to the last one to use. So it's onto the orchid. Once again, I'll be upping my hook size and using thicker yarn. Just because I don't actually keep a lot of the super thin yarns that I'd use with a 2mm and under hooks. You know what? I think, looking through my scraps, I'm going to use this cotton up for the petals. I think they'll look nice with the little colour changes that are in this yarn. And I'll need to use a 2.5mm hook, which isn't that much larger than the 1.9mm that the pattern actually asked for. Okay, this pattern has both written and chart instructions, and I do advise that you read the instructions and then refer to the chart, because there are a few how to put it, there are a few parts that probably needed a little bit more explanation. Okay, so we're starting with petal A. Looks like a macrovirus from Star Trek Voyager. Now, I only have petal A's instructions saved on the Pinterest board, and nowhere on any of the pattern can I see who made it or where it came from, which does slightly bug me. Right, so petal A is saved on my Pinterest board, but as you know, if you click on an image on Pinterest and scroll underneath it, you find related pins, and the other pages are there. Petal B next, obviously. Row 1, you do need to repeat the same bit twice. Looking at the diagram, you need to make sure your stitches are running in different directions. So like you need to make a chain and then work stitches down the chain, then make another chain and work stitches down that chain. And you've got to make sure that your stitches are on opposite sides of these chains. Like I say, you really do need to read the instructions and look at the diagrams. And yes, at first I did get that wrong, and I had to unpick it and do it again. Oh, other things to know on this pattern, ST is the abbreviation for a slip stitch, and TC is the abbreviation for a treble stitch. This pattern is working in US terms, so that treble stitch would actually be a UK double treble. Also, it says to work stitches together, which normally I would say that means a decrease, but here it actually means an increase. Okay, on to the next part. Once that's done, you need to wrap the center around the middle of the two petals, secure, then secure to the front of petal A with the pink bit pointing down. You are meant to use wire to shape and create the stem, but I've not done it because while this pattern has worked, I just don't like the finished result. And I'm not going to do the leaves either. Oh, you know what I could do with this? I could put it onto a bubble. that's another video with 3 free patterns from Pinterest. See you again.